Helena Blavatsky's lost letters offer an enigmatic glimpse into the mind of a woman who seemed to possess an almost prophetic understanding of the world. These cryptic communications may hold the key to decoding her final warning to humanity, a message veiled in spiritual wisdom and urgency. What did Blavatsky see that others could not? Why were her revelations concealed? And how do they resonate with us today? To grasp the significance of her words, we must first consider Blavatsky's extraordinary life, one that spanned continents and philosophies, where mystical experiences intertwined with fierce intellectual pursuits. Born into Russian aristocracy in 1831, Blavatsky's path was one of defiance, from escaping an arranged marriage to embarking on a 25-year journey across the East, studying under secretive masters in the Himalayas, and immersing herself in the ancient teachings of India and Egypt. Her ideas would lay the groundwork for a new spiritual paradigm, bridging Eastern and Western thought. As a co-founder of the Theosophical Society, Blavatsky challenged the materialism of her time and proposed a vision of the universe governed by spiritual laws rather than mere physical phenomena. Yet her warnings about humanity's spiritual decay were often dismissed or misunderstood. Today, in a world teetering on the edge of technological supremacy and environmental collapse, her predictions about the rise of soulless technology and the ecological consequences of human neglect take on an unsettling clarity. This exploration will examine Blavatsky's teachings, investigating the relevance of her prophecies in our present-day struggles, and how her timeless wisdom may offer us the guidance we need in 2025. Section 1. The Crisis of Materialism, a Descent into Spiritual Bankruptcy. Helena Blavatsky's critiques of materialism and industrialization were not mere philosophical musings. They were sharp, prophetic warnings about the path humanity was treading. She saw the relentless pursuit of material wealth, driven by the Industrial Revolution, as a spiritual and moral decay. In works like The Secret Doctrine and the periodical Lucifer, Blavatsky decried how the West had fallen into a dangerous worship of machines, an obsession that not only drained the soul, but disconnected people from deeper, more meaningful aspects of existence. She painted a bleak picture of a world where people were becoming mere cogs in a vast mechanical system with no spiritual purpose other than to consume and produce. To her, the rise of industrialization symbolized humanity's growing estrangement from its spiritual roots, and it was only a matter of time before this imbalance would lead to catastrophic consequences for both the individual and society at large. The relentless drive for progress, unchecked by ethical or spiritual concerns, was bound to undermine the very essence of what it meant to be human. Fast forward to today, and it's clear that Blavatsky's warnings were not only prescient, but eerily relevant. The materialism she railed against has evolved into a far more insidious form. The rise of technology and consumerism has bred an addiction to convenience and instant gratification, leaving little room for introspection or spiritual growth. People are constantly plugged into devices, scrolling through screens, their attention fragmented by a barrage of digital distractions. The thirst for more products, more likes, more attention, has reached a fever pitch, leaving many disconnected from their true selves. This technological addiction is not just a passing phase, but a deep-rooted cultural shift, one that echoes Blavatsky's concerns about the soul's starvation in the face of unrelenting material pursuits. It's as if the very machines that were meant to serve us have now enslaved us, reducing human experience to something transactional and devoid of higher meaning. What is perhaps most unsettling is how Blavatsky's critique of materialism also extended to environmental issues, a theme that resonates now more than ever. She predicted that this blind drive toward industrial progress, without consideration for the Earth's well-being, would lead to a breakdown in the natural order. Today, we are witnessing the undeniable truth of her words as we face the global consequences of environmental degradation. Climate change, deforestation, and pollution are no longer distant possibilities. They are ongoing crises. Blavatsky foresaw that the exploitation of natural resources would not only disrupt ecosystems, but would also disrupt the very fabric of human existence. When materialism triumphs over the health of the planet, both humanity and nature are doomed to suffer. The unrelenting thirst for more, without concern for the planet's limits, is driving us toward an irreversible collapse. And Blavatsky's prophetic vision offers a sobering reminder of the cost of ignoring spiritual and ecological balance. Furthermore, Blavatsky's analysis of the moral implications of materialism offers a profound lens through which to view our modern consumer-driven culture. The empty promises of consumerism lure individuals into a cycle of buying and accumulating, in the belief that happiness lies in possessions. Yet, as many have found, material wealth provides fleeting satisfaction, often leading to a deeper sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction. It's a cycle that exacerbates the disconnection people feel from one another and from their own inner selves. Blavatsky warned that this moral bankruptcy, the erosion of values like compassion and empathy, would lead to a hollow society. Today, we see the symptoms of this moral void: rampant inequality, growing social divisions, and a pervasive sense of alienation. People are becoming more self-centered, viewing the world through the lens of transactional relationships, where the worth of others is reduced to what they can offer materially or socially. This, according to Blavatsky, is the inevitable result of a materialistic culture that sacrifices the soul's true needs for the fleeting rewards of a consumerist society. Section 2. The Sixth Root Race: Humanity's Spiritual Evolution. Helena Blavatsky introduced an audacious and radical vision of human evolution that defied traditional scientific understanding. In her esoteric teachings, Blavatsky proposed the existence of 7 root races, each representing a distinct phase in humanity's spiritual and physical development. These races weren't simply a historical progression. They embodied spiritual awakening, each marked by advancements in consciousness. The sixth root race, according to Blavatsky, is the next step in this evolutionary journey, a phase of profound spiritual enlightenment and the transcendence of the materialistic dogmas that have shackled humanity. This race would emerge from the ashes of modern civilization, a civilization that has been dominated by materialism, and would mark the dawn of a new era. As the world enters this critical period of transformation, Blavatsky believed that the sixth root race would rise, characterized not by technological dominance or the accumulation of wealth, but by a spiritual awakening that transcends ego, materiality, and divisiveness. Blavatsky's vision of the sixth root race was both hopeful and controversial. She predicted that humanity's evolution would not be a smooth or linear process, but rather would be catalyzed by a global crisis, one that would force humanity to confront its deepest flaws and limitations. The chaos and suffering brought about by this crisis would serve as a spiritual crucible, purging the world of materialism and opening the doors to higher states of consciousness. For Blavatsky, this crisis was inevitable and necessary for spiritual rebirth. As humanity reaches its lowest point, she foresaw the rise of a new order, one where science and mysticism would no longer be at odds, but would instead merge into a holistic understanding of reality. This new Atlantis, as Blavatsky described it, would bring together the best of human intellect and spiritual wisdom, creating a society where material concerns were balanced by spiritual principles, and the pursuit of knowledge was not divorced from ethical considerations. This vision remains one of Blavatsky's most radical ideas, challenging both contemporary religious beliefs and the prevailing scientific paradigms of her time. Section 3. Blavatsky's solution for humanity. The path forward. Helena Blavatsky's solution for humanity is clear. Abandon the materialistic pursuits that dominate the modern world, and instead embrace the wisdom of the ancients. She consistently advocated for a return to spiritual principles that had been obscured by centuries of dogma, industrialization, and the rise of material wealth. Blavatsky saw this spiritual bankruptcy as the root cause of humanity's current crisis, and her prescription for healing was simple, yet profound. To evolve spiritually, humanity must look beyond the surface of things, cultivating inner divinity and seeking the eternal truths found in the sacred teachings of the world's most ancient traditions. From the Vedic wisdom of the East to the Hermetic texts of the West and the Buddhist teachings on compassion and mindfulness, Blavatsky believed that these teachings could provide the spiritual nourishment needed to transcend the darkness of modernity. In this, she urged you to shift your focus from external accumulation, be it wealth, fame, or power, to the cultivation of virtues like compassion, humility, and wisdom. These, she believed, were the keys to unlocking humanity's full potential and to creating a more harmonious and enlightened world. One of Blavatsky's most urgent calls was to revitalize the ancient wisdom that had been buried by centuries of civilization. She saw that this wisdom, often encoded in esoteric texts and spiritual traditions, held the key to addressing the spiritual malaise that had taken hold of the world. Blavatsky believed that modern humanity, particularly in the West, had lost touch with these deeper, more meaningful truths, which were far more profound than the fleeting pursuits of material success. She warned that the relentless drive for power and wealth had led to spiritual emptiness, causing widespread suffering and disillusionment. To reconnect with this ancient wisdom, Blavatsky urged individuals to cultivate practices of inner stillness, meditation, and self-reflection. By reconnecting with the divine within, you can transcend the limitations of the ego and reconnect with the greater cosmic order that underpins the universe. This process of spiritual awakening, Blavatsky argued, was essential if humanity hoped to avoid the collapse of civilization and to evolve toward the next stage of human development, one that embraces unity, compassion, and higher consciousness.